This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded December 6th, 2010. This week, we discuss military electronics and our first workplaces of the week.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
Hey Chris, I've heard you got some snow there in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, more than we can handle around here. It's starting to really look like winter. It's I'm in my fortress of solitude
it is winter,
in the basement.
Isn't it?
yeah, it is. I mean, before that, it was a warm. I don't know, it was a warm fall. Whatever. It was a lot of snow though, tons of snow. So.
See, that's completely foreign to me. I've seen snow. I've never seen snow in Sydney. I've seen it up in the mountains, which is up at 3,000 feet. Which is where I go canyoning and stuff like that. I've seen it up there very rarely, but no, that's a foreign concept for us Aussies, really, snow.
Huh. That's, I don't know, man. I grew up in Buffalo, too, so that was just snow all the time.
Right.
But,
I don't
mind
having the
it
white Christmas and all that sort of stuff. Here it's, sunburn and,
board shorts,
board shorts and thongs, which are not thongs, which you guys think are thongs over there. So don't get the wrong idea.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, whatever.
Yes, thongs are sandals. Thongs are flip-flops, I believe you guys call them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Whereas, over there, they're G-strings here. What you guys call thongs are.
Right.
Anyway, that's not a good image.
Well, of course, it'd be electronics thongs, though, or G-strings, because that's what we talk about.
Of course,
here.
we
have to talk about electronics, so yeah. All right, made it relevant. We're allowed to talk about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do we got on today's show?
Well, I don't know if we have any shout-outs today, but I think we do have, our first two workplaces/workbenches of the week.
We do. Let's talk about them. First up is Mike. Yeah. And Mike's a New Zealander.
Yeah.
So he
a Kiwi, right? It's a Kiwi.
Yeah, a Kiwi. Just ask him to say 6, and he'll say 6.
Well, I don't think we should get into the Australia-New Zealand thing. I mean,
come on, it's gold.
No, I'll let you leave that on that side of the hemisphere.
Right, this side of the pond, huh? Fish and chops.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love the New Zealand accent just as you guys love the Australian accent. So, and you mock it and all that sort of stuff. So, it's all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mike's from Ascot TV. In sunny Christchurch, and he's got his bench there, and there it is. Well, we'll put up the photo. You can't see it now, but obviously while you're listening to it, and he's got the Amp Hour logo on the monitor.
I know. I saw that was very nice. That was a nice touch, Mike. So thank you very much for that.
Absolutely,
double shout out. And he said 4 techs are listening too. So
there you go. Hey to the other techs working there at Ascot TV.
And they called you the Steve Irwin of electronics, too.
Steve Irwin of electronics. Well, yeah, that's a very American thing. I'm surprised that some New Zealanders said that, but I guess anyone other than Australian will say that. Yeah, I've had that often, the Steve Irwin of electronics. And well, it's a good thing. Now let's of course take a look at his. Let's take a look at his bench, shall we? We can't just say, "Hey, thanks for that." No, I love looking at other people's benches. That's the whole idea of doing this thing. So
looks like a Rigol there, maybe. Is that a? Oh no, that's a tech.
That looks like that's a Tektronix. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not high enough res to. The picture's not high enough resolution. 4-channel.
Looks like the battery powered, the floating kind. I like those.
It could be. No, I see a black cable coming out of the back of it. But
no, you need to charge it, though. You need to charge it.
Right. Yeah, well, you do. But, yep. That wouldn't surprise me for service work, actually, because those they're very popular, those floating scopes. And I talked about this on my live EEV blog show the other day. Somebody asked, can you easily blow up a scope? And the answer is if you're working on mains powered stuff.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't know that the B and C
connectors,
a lot of beginners don't know that those B and C connectors are mains earth referenced.
Yeah.
So
that'll
if
go
you put that
straight through.
So if you put that ground probe on anything other than a nominally mains earth reference point in your circuit, bang, that's
Well, I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knows that well from especially CRTs. I mean, CRTs are so high voltage.
Nasty.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Yes.
That's a great picture. So thanks to Mike for sending that in.
Yes, and he's in the shot as well, which we love.
Plus,
we want you in we want you in the shot, definitely.
Nice.
And the what was I? God, no. Mental block. I've lost it.
The thing that surprised me most about the picture is that people still fix CRTs, or that fix anything. I mean, that's awesome. How often are people... I mean, honestly, I don't hear about it much these days. You don't hear about repair shops or anything like that. They're like, oh, just go buy a new one. No, you fix stuff like Mike's doing and all his tech buddies. That's awesome. So
I know, it's great. I love it.
Kudos to him. I hope they get tons of business. I think that's a very good thing and very, reducing waste and...
Absolutely. There's still a business out there for servicing stuff. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
And, I remember what I was going to say now. Yeah. Every beginner makes that mistake once. They hook up the ground probe and they hook up the ground clip and they blow something up. And you only ever do it once and then you learn.
When I started my job, I was working on 1,000 volts and I had an alligator clip on it. Probably the worst thing I ever did. And the alligator clip was on a 1,000-volt test point, and it just kind of fell over ever so slightly, and I got close enough to chassis, and I was bent over it at the time, and it sparked right in front of my face, and I nearly wet myself. It was it was a rough introduction to that circuit I was working on. Yeah. So.
But you learn from those things. You do it once and you go, and you still, you have vivid memories of those events, and you're really, it's ingrained in your memory.
Either that or you die. One of the two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very Darwinian-like. Yeah. I love it. Now, let's take a look at what else he's got. He's got a J-Car catalogue, of course, because J-Car is big in Australia and New Zealand. So he's got the obligatory J-Car catalogue. He's got the electronic cleaning solvent and the multimeter. That looks suspiciously like the old Fluke 19, but I don't think it is. I think it's probably the newer model, which is the Fluke 17 or whatever. Because I think very few Fluke 19s still survive. Because It was... Yeah, there's a history behind that. It was Fluke's first Asian-made meter. First meter made in China, and they tested it in the Asia-Pacific market. So you could buy it here in Australia, New Zealand, and Malaysia and stuff, but you couldn't buy it in the US or anywhere else. So it was... And at the time, everyone went apeshit over it because it was, it was a Fluke, right?
Yeah. And it was super cheap.
And it was super cheap, you could buy it for, I think it was $150 for, I'm talking 10, 12 years ago or something. So this was a really cheap Fluke, and it had everything on it. It had capacitance, which was pretty big at the time, and it had most of the features of the Fluke 87. Didn't have the accuracy though, but it was, so it sold like hotcakes, and then they all started dying. Every meter out there started this just mysterious fault that they started locking up and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And I personally had 4 of them at work and they all failed. So, go figure.
Did they ever figure out why they were blowing up so much or why the 87 was so much better? Was it just like the made in China kind of thing or...
I never really found out. I spoke to a couple of guys at Fluke, and they said it used exactly the same chipset as what was used in the Fluke 87, but I believe something was killing the chipset, whether it was static or... I don't know. I never heard what the actual problem was, and the failure mechanism would be different for different people. Some would just go haywire and display, random readings. Others would just completely die, and yeah. But as I said, I had 4 meters at work, and all of them died, and then everyone on the forums was saying the same thing, and it was practically every Fluke 19 out there eventually failed. So if you're still using a Fluke 19, so if
if you have it, save it, and it'll be a relic. It'll go in the museum.
Exactly. I actually sold mine. I actually kept 3 of them, the faulty ones, and I eventually just sold them on eBay. I should have just kept them for, dissection or something like that. That was before the blog, though. That was many years ago, because this model came out, it'd have to be 10 years ago now, probably at least. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's it. That looks like a Fluke 19. So the new Fluke's actually styled after that Fluke 19. That started the whole new trend of Fluke styling and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's an interesting story of the Fluke 19. And what else has Mike got on here on his bench? I see a Bob Parker, the famous Bob Parker ESR meter. As well,
yeah.
that's a little box sitting next to the sitting next to the meter there. It's actually black, the little black
one. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's a little tiny black box sitting next to the multimeter there. That's the famous Bob Parker ESR meter,
I've never seen that.
Every service tech has one of those.
Yeah.
So yeah,
nice,
hugely popular. He sold tens of thousands of those things.
Wow. Perhaps someday there'll be the Dave Jones meter. Who knows?
Right. Yes, yeah. He gets his name sort of associated with it all the time. It's not just, the EA. Well, it was known because he got published in EA back in the day, and then it was republished in Silicon Chip magazine about 5 years ago or something. So
yeah,
it's the Bob Parker ESR meter. But now there's lots of others on the market now, so I think his sales are dwindling with that thing. But yeah, unfortunately he didn't. This is a good example for you people out there. If you're thinking about getting into the kit business and doing that sort of stuff, he didn't actually sell this kit himself. He just sold the pre-programmed Zilog microcontroller. It was a Z8 microcontroller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he just sold that for a couple of bucks to the likes of Dick Smith. And Dick Smith sold tens of thousands of these kits. So he sold it really cheaply, this pre-programmed micro. So, sure, he made a couple of tens of thousands of dollars on it, but oh, no, I can assure you that the amount of money that, each kit was like $80 or something, So they're the ones who made all the money. Dick Smith, it wasn't poor old Bob Parker. So, yep. Yeah. If you maybe he's an avid Amp Hour not watcher, listener,
right.
I keep getting confused with all these different mediums. There's only two of them, video and audio, but
right. What about the other workplace or workbench of the week? I guess we have who's the other one? It was David from Delta Q Technologies.
Hey, Dave.
Vancouver,
yep.
Yeah. Thanks for the shout out, Dave.
Vancouver, love Vancouver. One of my favorite cities.
Yeah, it's a great city. And yeah, so he took a picture of like all his benches. Seems like him and his dad have a pretty badass workshop there. And, I think his main bench. He said he's doing. So he actually got me looking at stuff because he was talking about one of his pet projects is going to be making an all electric DeLorean. Did you see that?
Right. Oh, is he the one? He's the one that's doing the DeLorean, is he?
He's talking about it, and
he's talking about doing one, right?
Right, okay. And so I started looking at it, and it's actually it is out there. Not to discourage David, because obviously there's tons of different things you could do with that. But I looked out there, and I'm going to post a link to the one that's out there. I think it's just electricdelorean.com. Yeah, but yeah, it looks awesome. They refurbed an old one and filled the trunk and the hood with batteries, and man, it looks nice. It's really cool.
I know, it's awesome. I'd love to do that. I'd love to. It's my dream.
Yeah.
Electric Delorean. So yeah, excellent. I hope that turns out, Dave, and I'm sure we can. I'm sure if you do it, we can post all the details and stuff like. Everyone would love to hear about it. So yeah. And there he is in the photo, giving a big thumbs up with the cat in the background. I'm sorry, but you get a thumbs down for the cat.
Oh,
I'm a cat hater. I'm outing myself as a cat hater.
Oh, we all know you don't like cats.
Right.
Yeah, and anyway, the 555 timer shirt on too. I think
he's got my 555 timer shirt. Yes, he does.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Thanks for buying the merch.
Yeah,
we haven't got any Amp Hour merch yet. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't think I don't know if people wore that out in public. If anyone would know what was going on there,
no,
I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I wear mine in public, and people just give me weird stares and stuff like that. So
right.
What can you do? Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyways, thanks to Mike and David, and if other people, like Dave said, that's they're both very good examples of the kind of stuff we're looking for. We want to see your bench. We want to see you in front of your bench. Smiling, giving a thumbs up, doesn't matter what. And not mooning. Dave said that last time. Not
no, thank you.
Yeah.
And girls. We would love to see some girls too.
Yeah, of course.
in the nicest possible way, of course.
What's that?
In the nicest possible way.
Oh, yeah. So other things that I wanted to talk about with posting. So some of our Dave and I had been talking about this for posting your questions or your suggestions. I put up a widget on the suggestions page, and basically what it does is it just takes you to my voicemail. So it's a really crude way for people to give questions, but basically in that way because we don't record live. We have enough technical troubles as it is, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we've already had a few today.
Yeah. This might be the quarter amp hour this week.
Yeah, it's more than a few actually. So we're actually back on Skype at the moment because we had to ditch Google Chat, Google Voice or whatever it's called.
Yeah. But anyways, you can call into that voicemail. It'll prompt you, to record a question or suggestion. And we'll get your voice on the air, and then we'll be able to answer the question like that. So if you're interested in doing that kind of thing, if you have a question or a suggestion, just go ahead and use that. And if we come up with a better solution later, we'll try that because the quality is just so. But
yeah, it's not that great. But anyway, it's a start.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ever want to, send in an MP3 of your voice too, we can always use that too. So if you're a little more tech savvy, if not, it'll call your phone and it'll just record a voicemail through there. So, cool. Fun new thing. How about some... go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to do a quick talk about Dave's bench because we talked about Mike's one, and I see an Agilent, well, it was HP at the time, a 54621 mixed signal scope there. I love that scope. I used to have one of those in my lab before I sold it, and he's got a Fluke 189 or a 289 by the looks of it there, and Weller soldering iron.
Yeah,
that looks like the old Weller sort of blue, sort of flat, slopey faced. I can't see the front of it, but that screams Weller to me. Oh yes, I can see it now. I've zoomed in, and he's got a that looks like a ProTech 506 multimeter there as well. So.
Perhaps if people start sending in pictures with all of the test equipment blurred out, that would be good for Dave.
And we can try and identify.
We could actually get something else done because Dave is going bonkers right here. He loves this. This is the real reason we're doing this.
I just love it. Absolutely. I love looking at what other people have got. And
see, now I like that. You see that? Is that a huge motor underneath the bench?
That's a big ass, some sort of big ass motor. I have no idea what it does, but it's doing something serious.
Well, he said in his post too that he works on AC motors, so that's pretty awesome.
Oh, there you go. So he's a motor guy, and that's awesome. And in the true tradition of every electronics person, he has a second workshop in his study where his computer is. Yeah. So he's got like a little. He's got
comfy bench.
Actually, yeah. And he's got another Infineon scope in there, so he's well set up with scopes, definitely. So geez, I wish I had a HP Agilent Infineon scope in my study. That's for sure.
That'd be nice, huh? Yeah,
that's awesome, and that looks like some sort of weird brand pulse generator or something there as well, and he's got a big CRT monitor sitting on top of that. But everyone's got to have a second workbench in their study because I do, because a lot of projects are all PC based these days, and they're small, so you work on them and they hook up to USB, the computer, whatever, or you're writing firmware and you want to download it, so you sit in your nice comfy study instead of out in your workshop and you work from there. So I do a lot of work in my study here. I drag my oscilloscope in. I don't have a second one that I drag into the study. The wife makes me keep the study pretty clean. So so that's excellent. Thanks for that, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you check out the mechanical bench, that's a real mechanical bench.
Yes.
It's just filled with crap. I love it. And I'm jealous because I don't have a mechanical bench, really. I just don't have room in the EEV blog lab, so I don't even have a vise, I feel so unmanly without a vise.
You don't have a vise that's not hooked up right now. It's like not bolted to that thing, so it's worthless.
Right. Well, at least you've got a vise. I don't even have one, so even freestanding.
That's great. Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks, guys, for sending those in. And if you want to get mentioned on the Amp Hour, please send in your photos and make sure you're in the photo. And girls, we want to see your workshop too. So.
Yes. Everyone is welcome. Let's see, what else we got this week? Man, tons of stuff, huh? Not tons of stuff.
Well,
how was some follow-ups, though? So
yes.
one of the things from so I've been posting some of our posts on LinkedIn because I really like to hear more people, or some more people from industry, because we love our hobbyist friends, and we think we have some appeal in industry too, and I think there's some listeners out there. Mm-hmm. But anyways, you can get to the older crowd by going through LinkedIn, and
right.
I posted the I think it was episode 17 about the transistor types, and one of the guys on there, he posted a link to there's still cross-reference data sheets available for transistors, which I didn't know about. And you can actually still get them in print. You can order them in print, or you can just get a CD, or you can just go download them for free, I think. Yep. So we'll post a link to that.
That doesn't surprise me too much, really, because, it's still a needed service for guys like Mike who are service techs,
Yeah.
They come across transistor designs all the time in, TVs and radios and amplifiers and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, the way this guy was talking about it, it was more of it used to be like a huge industry, kind of like this whoever was doing this was banking on it, and, and now it's not as big of a industry. There is a need, like you said, but it's not quite as big.
No, it's not nearly as big as it was back in the 80s or some 70s, 80s. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's great, awesome link, and we'll post that up there. Another one was from Frank. He posted about so we were talking, I think, last time or 2 times ago about CAD programs. Oh, by the way, this is episode 20. We made it to 20, by the way.
Woohoo!
Yeah, hey! All right.
Hey, we'll celebrate at 32, which is a binary multiple. Yes. So,
yeah. I like base 10 personally. But anyway.
Right, okay, well, yeah.
All
right.
I'll celebrate on my own afterwards. I'll have a beer.
Okay, well done.
So Frank posted about, because we were talking about user interface design, and also, going to CAD programs, how, you were saying you'd love to have a huge table where you can interact and stuff. And he talked about a 3D sketch program where you had like a tablet and it interpreted the actual sketches. So this was a prototype sketch program called I Love Sketch.
Yep.
So I don't know, it's kind of cool. I didn't really dig into it too much, but
I didn't see the details, but you draw on the screen. It's like, with one of those pens, like a touchscreen tablet,
like a stylus,
thing. A stylus, yes, that's the correct term. And they're big in the art world. You see all these artists, and all the people who draw comics these days. They don't draw it with pencil anymore. They sit there with their big tablet, at their desk, and it's raised to a certain angle, and they just draw it on the screen. And
oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Actually, there's a YouTube video of Dilbert being drawn. So
oh, really?
I'll have to post a link to that. Yeah, you can actually watch him draw Dilbert, and it's fascinating. It takes him about an hour to draw one of them or something like that, and it's like a time lapse kind of thing of him drawing Dilbert. So we'll definitely have to post that one in.
Yeah,
or link it.
That's really cool. I've never seen that. I mean, Dilbert gets a lot of exposure in the engineering world, like even professionally, I think.
Oh, it's because it's so spot on. I get the automatic email alert every day, and I look forward to it. Opening my inbox, there's my nice. Dilbert, and it's just spot on. I can relate to every single one of those, and that's why it's so popular, I think. Because everyone's had a boss like that, like the pointy-haired boss or something, and it's just, every situation is gold. So I don't know where he gets them from, but
I think a lot of them are suggestions and stuff too.
I think they're suggestions. Yeah. They must be. But I haven't seen any place where you can actually suggest stuff to him. So I don't know.
I think it just people find his email and email him or something.
Direct. Yeah. I think because he started out putting his email on the actual strip itself, and
he probably gets more emails than he can handle. Yeah. The oh crap. Oh yeah, his blog is really popular too. He has he's very very opinionated. If people, I think to the point people get angry at him. So if you if you don't like opinionated people, you probably aren't listening to us. But
right.
But he's got a great blog, and it's some interesting stuff on there. He does some kind of interesting stuff with like sociological studies using social media stuff. And
okay, right.
Yeah, so
I'm going to have to check that out. I didn't know he actually did a regular blog.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah. And I had another follow up on here. Another of our favorite talking talking point. Me and Dave
don't
continued
tell me
on
making your own chips.
Continued on past, and I had Jerry Ellsworth behind me. I believe who else? John Oxer from Freetronics backed me up on this. So I think it's many against one. If there's supporters of Dave out there, we can start a campaign.
Nobody has picked apart my argument. Nobody, not a single person.
Well, here it comes.
Everyone's saying, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's going to happen. And yeah, we all live in fairyland and utopia land and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to be producing our own chips in our own backyard. And look, go through. I've put all my arguments and points on the Amp Hour comments for that thing.
Well,
so
I saw those.
Nobody's tried to pick them apart yet because they can't. That's why.
Yeah.
So anyway... I've set down the challenge. Go and do it.
Okay.
And anyway, you go on. You've got yet another proof why it's going to...
I have a chip in your armor. What about obsolescence? Because chip vendors, we've talked about it on here before, chip vendors are ruthless about if you have a low volume production kind of thing, which would actually be a very good target for this, right? You're not going to be doing high volume manufacturing in your garage or basement. You're going to be doing low volume, and you need custom, maybe to keep the IP relatively more difficult to get to. Right now, people, and actually the link that inspired this was the fact that, Zilog, who you talked about with the Z8 and that Bob Parker meter, they just got rid of that thing. You can't find a Z8 anymore. And now, who is it? Ixis, IXYS, the FET manufacturer, they bought them now, and they're reviving a bunch of stuff. Anyway, you wouldn't need any of that stuff if you were making your own chips, right? I mean, what's the argument against that, Dave?
Of course, but there's no argument against that at all. My argument is purely based on the practicality.
Yeah, I understand.
No, not the economics of it, the practicality of it. It is so... Last week, right, you could try to compare it to the MakerBot, right? It's insane. Making your own chip is orders and orders of magnitude more complex than just extruding a bit of plastic with an XY stepper motor. Okay,
right.
It's just... Go and look at the... This is where my argument comes in. It's just so... The chemical processes needed are so complex, right, that it's just not going to happen. It's not going to be practical. I'm not saying it's not possible. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you can definitely make your own chip in your own backyard, right? But it won't be practical. There's so many steps involved. Right. That's why these fab houses that make these chips cost hundreds of millions of dollars at a minimum, all right? There's a reason for it. You can't compare it to the MakerBot, which is just extruding a bit of plastic, okay? And you can buy those, before the MakerBot came along, you could buy those machines for $5,000, right? Or $10,000.
Right.
And the MakerBot was just
oh, so you're saying that
it didn't come out with a new process.
Okay, I get that.
But making your own chips
that's
will
fine.
always
I'm just
be
saying
complex.
this is an argument for it. I think this is an argument for it. Low volume, you want to have, in perpetuity, you want to be able to make this thing. I think that's the argument for it.
It is one of the arguments for it, but I will counter-argue by saying that if you're trying to make your own chips because you want to keep that chip viable, then this is an age-old problem, right? You're probably going down the wrong path. Okay, you're better off just taking the hit and redesigning it for another part. This is an age-old problem, right? It's been going on for 50 years, and it's not just chips. It's semiconductors or some little mechanical widget
anything,
or
right. Yeah,
passive, anything like that, right? So what, you're going to go out and make your own capacitor because they don't make some weird-ass,
maybe I will, Dave.
0.01%, tolerance cap you wanted with, zero, drift and all that sort of crap? I mean, it's an age-old problem, and solving it by trying to manufacture your own chips, which is probably the most complex process in electronics engineering today, manufacturing process, well, I think it's just madness. I'm sorry, that's... God, nah, you're really pushing shit up here with a pointy stick there.
I think that's where we're going to go with this one. The argument continues.
Come on, people, there must be somebody out there who agrees that it's just...
If there are any people that agree with Dave, we would like to hear in the comments, please. Or, you can call in now. You can call in and, argue your case, and we'll cut it in.
None of this airy-fairy pie-in-the-sky shit, right? I want I want practical reasons why it's going to be cheap enough and viable enough and simple enough to manufacture chips in your own home. And we're talking about your own home here, right? Let's not spread the argument to you're a semi-large company and you want to, there's people been talking about buying surplus gear from, fabs that are closing down and stuff like that. No, that's, that's
that
not part of the argument.
No, you're right. That doesn't count.
No,
I don't think your own home though, because that puts a budgetary price on. I mean, obviously, it's gonna, like you said, there's a difference in price between like a
Surely,
make or buy.
I win. There you go. You just admitted, right, that your own home isn't really viable because it requires so many processes.
No,
it's crazy.
What did the Skype feed cut out? Did I finish? Did I finish there, Dave? I don't think so, man. No,
I'm butting in as usual.
No, I'm saying that it should be a low volume workplace where there's actually a little bit of I don't think anyone's saying that it's going to cost $1,000 tomorrow. No one's saying it's going to be the next maker bot. But in industry, there are low volume manufacturing cases where it makes sense.
Well, there are. I'm not going to argue that point. There are people like military companies who have to still manufacture these chips going, and there's companies out there who will cater for that. We've talked about this before. They will actually still make the 8008 processor or something because it's used in some space shuttle or something like that.
Right.
And there's a market for another 10 of them, so they will actually produce them at $10,000 a chip or something like that.
Yeah.
But, because I don't see the reason for my argument is that I don't see any technology on the horizon or even pie in the sky stuff that will instantly make chips simple to manufacture. That gets rid of all the chemical processes, right? We've got Jerry Ellsworth who's made a point contact transistor, and that's great. Okay, and that happened with Noyce, with the Schottky and Barden, how long ago was it? 50, 60 years ago now, right? And it's taken all this time to perfect chip manufacturing. It took 20 years or something to produce chip manufacturing, and this is the best minds, the best companies in the business, and it took them how many processes and how many hundreds of millions of dollars to build these fab plants. To think that somebody's going to come up with some concept that can make a silicon chip on a little XY plotter is with hardly any of these nasty chemicals they use. It's crazy. Come on, you've worked in the chip fab, right? You know what nasty chemicals are. Tell us about the nasty chemical. I think we've talked about it before.
We talked about sulfur-hexafluoride.
Yeah, and that's just one of the nasty chemicals,
there's much worse
right?
ones, yeah. Free radicals, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And you're talking about doing that in your own home. And then how do you do the bond wires? How do you get the bond wires on there? You want a little...
Okay, fine.
Okay, and then how do you package it? How do you encapsulate it? Well, actually, the encapsulation is probably the easiest part, actually. There's a tip out there for you if you want to go out and try and do it. I reckon the encapsulation is not hard at all. Just get some clear epoxy stuff and, away you go. But imagine working under your microscope, just attaching each little bond wire to your homemade chip. It's like...
This is almost worse than you seeing test equipment as me bringing this up again.
Well, you did it. I
did it.
Up.
I asked for it.
You asked for it.
You mentioned in the best context switch I can possibly have, you mentioned military electronics, and there's something I want to talk about military electronics.
Go for it.
I saw an article the other day. They started putting microchips into grenades.
Oh, yes, I've seen this.
Did you see that?
We won't... I guess we shouldn't talk too much about it, but yeah, basically it's a little smart bullet or a smart grenade that is set to explode at a certain distance. You can dial in the distance you want, laser rangefinder, and
Well, let's talk about... I mean, like, what don't you want to talk about? I don't get it.
Oh, well, because it's talking about war and all that sort of stuff and how it changes the paradigm of war now. Because you can't hide anymore, right? You can't hide in your trench.
Oh, yeah.
You can't hide behind your wall.
I think the relevant question here is more of an, how about that question? How about, would you ever work for a military manufacturer? Would you ever work for a weapons manufacturer? I think I've talked to coworkers about that before.
Oh, yeah, so have I. It's come up. I know people who will flatly refuse to work on weapons, and I'm probably one of them. As cool as weapons might be, I feel bad enough working in the oil survey industry being a greenie. You know, I feel like, I can't believe I used to work on designing oil survey gear, you know? Right. And I feel bad enough about that.
You designed it safely, though, right? I mean, you made sure
ours was the world's eco-friendliest oil survey gear. You know, it was very... Because actually just this act of searching for oil actually dumps oil into the ocean, because the cables used to be oil-filled. Yeah. And our one was a nice solid one, so it was designed as an eco product. It won the Australian Design Award and all sorts of stuff, so... Right. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I've talked about that with friends, though, before. And, you know, because it's kind of like where you start to draw the line there, because, well, so I'm working on... Say I'm working on a piece of test equipment, long shot, right? And the test equipment is then used to, you know, test out a missile, and the missile then goes and blows someone up. Now, that's 2 steps removed. Do I say that I'm, you know, am I okay with that? Now, say I move 1 step closer now. Maybe I'm a sheet metal former for a missile, right? Instead, say I'm not working electronics, but I'm still making a casing for, you know, a missile. So I don't know. I don't know where that stuff stops, because like you said, you know, they get a lot of research dollars. They do some cool stuff. And I don't know what the answer is to that, because I've never really been approached by it, but
well, I have, and the answer is obviously the 1 step removed. If you're directly working on that military project, then, you know, you are producing the missile or whatever. You know, we at the company I used to work for, we produced, not a missile, but we produced a torpedo, right? But I never worked on that actual project. But there it was. I walked past it every day. You know,
well, that's another question. I mean, do you work for a company that takes money from...
I used to work for one of the world's largest defence manufacturers, Tallies. Right? Yeah. They're French. They're the world's the French's. I think they were the world's biggest at one stage. So I used to work for them, but they do everything. You know, they do oil survey, they do they do the Magellan GPS receivers, they do. They're such a huge conglomerate that. You know, I didn't really care about that aspect, that I was working for essentially a military company, but the fact that I wasn't working on a... You know, I wasn't actually working on a military, you know, I wasn't working on a missile or something like that, or this new smart bullet. So I didn't care about it. And I don't think, you know, you talked about, you know, you design an oscilloscope or something and it could be used for something like that, or you're working at microchip and that chip is used in, you know, a missile. If you worry about that, well, you may as well go be in the bush. You may as well not be in the industry. Right? Yeah, exactly. Herd sheep for a living. I mean, that's just, you can't worry about that. You can't worry about.
That's a good point.
That's just nuts.
The other thing I've heard before too is, you know, because there is a very legitimate flip side, I think, and you know, you say, well, yes, this, you know, X, you know, missile might be hurting people, but on the same time, it's protecting other people. So that kind of just becomes a whole other gray area of ethics, and I don't know. Maybe that's not an amp hour thing, but. Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are approached by this kind of thing. I think, you got to make your own decision, but it's tough. It's real tough, because there's a lot of jobs there. There's a ton of jobs there. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people actually approach it from that aspect. As you say, well, it's used as defense. It's helping defend our country. And I think a lot of Americans who work, because American industrial military machine is massive. Yeah, you know, the amount
monstrous.
It's just, it's the biggest in the world. So how many millions of engineers in the US working on some sort of military weapon,
and that
or something
drives
like that.
that drives other demand too, right? We can't discount that.
Don't get us wrong. It's, you know,
if they need chips, then they get chips, right?
As much as I hate war and everything else, it's you know, it does help the industry. From if you set everything else aside, it's good for the industry as a whole.
Right.
So. But
there's
a lot of people, I think, who use that as the excuse to live with themselves, or, you know, to, I guess, not live with them. Anyway, know what I mean, to make themselves feel better about, you know,
justification would be
I'm working on defense. This missile defends the United States, you know.
Right, or anyone really. I mean,
so, it's
might have to bring back our Dave says something nice about the U.S. segment. Do you remember that segment?
Well, no, it's the U.S. is a prime example here because it's
I know, yeah,
has a massive
it's
military.
Probably the bigger example, the biggest example, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the world's biggest example of the military manufacturing machine. Here in Australia, we do some stuff. I've worked for a company that does it, but yeah, it's quite small time compared to the US, that's for sure. Yeah. So hey, leave some comments if you're working on are you working on a missile? Are you working on? And we're talking about a weapon, not like I was. Yeah, I work at a military company, but I'm working on on sweeping the bins or doing
that's interesting.
Yeah, are you actually designing something?
I would be interested just to hear about the kind of the culture around it too. Hey, we had a really great quarter. We shipped X number of missiles, right?
To Iran or somewhere.
I mean, to whoever, right? I mean, like, I don't know how that works.
Exactly.
Is it a different kind of engineering culture? Is it just kind of like people keep to themselves and get the work done? I mean, I'd be very interested in that kind of thing. And probably they're not going to be able to take pictures in front of their benches.
No, I'm sure not. And how do you feel about your weapons ending up in the wrong hands? Because, the US military is armed. Yeah. Who are now some of their enemies, like Osama bin Laden. The US armed him back in the 80s to fight the Soviets.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that's
your
like the
weapons
same,
could be in his hands. How do you feel about that?
Did you ever see the Iron Man movie?
Yes, love Iron Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the same kind of thing that he runs into, right?
Yeah.
Probably one of the better examples of engineering not role models, because obviously the guy was a dog, but but
cool.
A good exposure for engineering as hey, isn't this awesome kind of thing. Although in the second movie it was a little ridiculous. Just since we're hopping into popular culture right there. Anyway,
I think that's a great example. If he realised his weapons, they ended up in the wrong hands, and they could be used for bad things.
Homework this week for all Amp Hour listeners: go watch Iron Man. So there was another military related kind of thing I wanted to talk about. Did you see the thing about that virus basically that was an army?
Yes, the Iran. Somebody wrote a virus that took out the Iranian nuclear facility or something.
I was reading about it.
Or something. Yeah,
I was flabbergasted at how. I mean, obviously we talk about hardware a little bit more on here, but there are some software junkies too. And whoever did this, oh my God! Like, did you read the details on it?
No, I haven't actually gone into the gruesome details of what it actually did. And
basically, it's a virus that carpeted the entire world. This virus was found everywhere. It had to jump an air gap, so someone had to load it from a USB stick onto this thing because there was no internet connection on the centrifuge, and then it had to recognize, okay, now I'm on a centrifuge. It has X, Y, Z, different machines attached to it, and then it implements this complicated algorithm to just subtly ruin experiments over the course of a year.
Oh, that's insane.
However you feel about the politics of a nuclear whatever, that is some badass programming. Like, that is like...
Absolutely.
Who comes up with that stuff? Like...
Well, someone at the NSA, maybe?
I guess so. Hearing about that and then my, a USB driver not working on my computer, that just is kind of depressing, I gotta say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, where's that guy?
That is some impressive...
Oh, it's so impressive.
Software engineering, that's just incredible.
Yeah, I am so impressed. I doubt they're listening. I doubt they will ever hear me, but you have one fan, and I'm sure it's not just one person either. It's a whole army of, hackers or whatever it is. It honestly sounded fake. Talking about movies, Iron Man before, there's some ludicrous stuff in Iron Man. This movie about the hacking into this Iranian centrifuges, ludicrous movie, but I loved it. And
it's very Hollywoodish, isn't it?
Yeah. It definitely
incredible.
is. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome. So I'll post a link. It's a Fox News link. I'm not a big fan of Fox News, but whatever.
No.
It's a well-written article, and it's definitely worth reading. So check it out.
Right.
And I don't know about you, Dave, but I'm done talking about war for now. So.
Yep, I think that'll pretty much do it. Unless you want to go to battle again over the chip manufacturing, but no, that is
a war for another day. That is a battle. A battle for another day, yes.
How about we talk about little embedded companies being overtaken by the big players.
Yeah,
you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, so Menor they've been buying 2 different open source people. I'm not sure they're both embedded companies, but Menor's huge. They're a huge company, and there's not and they grow by buying and sucking in more companies now. But it's interesting that it's open source. Like that the fact that. Hey, we really and they say that they were talking about they were targeting it. That they said this will significantly increase the value because it's open source.
Well, they've actually said, this is a direct quote. We believe that the future of embedded software development depends on the wide availability of open source software and tools.
Yeah.
And this is coming from the general manager of Mentor Graphics, who are one of the absolute monsters in the EDA industry, who have built their entire companies around charging millions of dollars for such
convoluted,
weird, and complex software. I know, it's a complete paradigm shift. To hear them say it, but it's big. You hear Microsoft say it these days, don't they? They say, there's all these big companies are realizing, if we can't beat them, let's join them, and we can make some money out of it by selling services instead.
Right. So, that's definitely the target area. That is definitely the target area. And I mean, that's probably the eventual future from hardware too. I mean, a lot of companies already do open up their reference designs. Some more than others, some less than people would like. But I mean, we'll probably see more and more adoption of that because, much like the social media stuff, they see this as hey, free work. Right? I mean, it's not always
snowballing
true.
big time. It's just, a lot of companies are falling behind it. As soon as one starts, then their competitors go, do they know something we don't? Oh, we better jump on the bandwagon. It reminds me of the Element 14 Design Spark battle. They're almost copying each other tit for tat in terms of website features and free PCB tools. One came out with free PCB tool. Oh, we better do that. And,
and we got a response from them over your.
Let's talk about that.
FAQ last week.
I hammered RS Design Spark last week on the show that you couldn't find any info about their PCB tool. You went to their website and it's like. Well, there's no, and their FAQ sucked, and they listened to the amp hour. Thanks, guys, and they said, we agree, we're going to fix it, and thanks for the feedback and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think they've fixed it yet, have they?
I don't believe so. But they're in the works.
Anyway, I know they've put some info on there. They've actually updated their. If you go to designspark.com/PCB, there's actually some info there. But once again, they don't actually tell you. They say it's, I think, it's written by a big PCB design company with decades of experience. Well, who? I know who it is. It's Number One Systems, right?
Yeah,
if you go to numberonesystemside.com or whoever it is, they're the ones who write the Design Spark software, but they're not promoting that. They're sort of...
Right, it's the buy resell or the OEM.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
And they're not directing them, you, to their website where if you want to go buy the Pro version or something, but I guess, I don't know, maybe they're not going to sell it anymore because the RS Design Spark, unlike the Element 14 one, come on, get off your ass, Element 14, with Eagle, right? Yeah. The Design Spark one is completely free, no size limitations, as I banged on about last week.
Yeah.
There's no limit to the size of the board, there's no limit to the layers, it's the full package. It's the whole shebang. Whereas Eagle is still pushing that old the free version's only 2 layers and 160.
We want Freagle. That's going to be our that's going to be our rallying cry. We want Freagle.
Oh, Freagle.org. I'm sure it's not taken. Let's go and register the domain.
There we go.
Eagle,
yeah, we can sell it to Element 14.
Free Eagle.
Free Eagle. Freagle.
I love it. So I actually predicted that right at the start when, as soon as the RS Design Spark came out, I predicted that. I tweeted it, I think. You can go look it up probably, that I predicted Eagle would eventually be totally free. They will keep outdoing each other in the free stakes until both packages are without limitation completely free. So RS Design Spark have made the first move and Eagle I think will eventually follow, and they should.
Yeah.
But that's great.
Good.
They actually listen. So they appreciate feedback, and they wanted feedback on the website too, because they essentially admitted that they don't really know what they're kind of doing with the website. They just bought a package and it does everything, but they're asking for feedback to help,
Yeah, that's great. As long as they're listening, that's a good sign. Yeah. So more power to them.
And I've got so much feedback on the website because, it's, and the blog and how it works and the forum, you need a proper BBS forum for a start. People don't want this blog format for Q&A.
It's okay to try new stuff. I think it's okay to try new stuff.
No, I don't like it. The format is terrible. People
you're
prefer
you're an old codger, Dave. Come on, man.
No,
be willing to try something new.
There's no threaded comments. You can't.
Okay, threaded.
Nice,
threaded is
powerful
important.
BBS forum.
You know me. I like the Stack Exchange kind of. I like that kind of style.
Yeah. Well, they can do a lot better than what they're doing because they bought this one package. It's the same as, I'm sure
everyone
it's the
else.
same bloody package as Element 14, and it just does everything. And it's a jack of all trades, and that's its problem. It doesn't, people are happy to go and use a separate BBS forum. Trust me, they would love it. If you had designspark.com/forum and it was a PHP BBS or a Simple Machines forum or something like that, people would flock to it. Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, don't get me started. I've got so much feedback on that.
So since we're briefly on the topic of social media, another of your favorites, did you see that little post I have in there, Dave?
I did, about the...
it's the saddest day. Jones's diminishing blog law has already been named.
Oh, not really. I think
it has.
Probably. Okay, it is the 1% rule.
Yeah, the 99-1. The 90-9-1
9-1, which is shit. Anyway, they're talking about in terms of forums and stuff like that, which I guess mine's more a bit blog specific. That mine was sort of targeting the magazines. This is pretty general. Okay. This one sort of tries to cover everything. But it basically, it's true. It backs up my theory that it's an order of magnitude drop each time. So that, if there's 100 people go into a forum, then only 10 people are going to be active.
Right, and then only one is posting most
contributing,
of the stuff. Right.
And 1%'s going to
dominate.
What is the 1% going to do?
He's going to dominate the post. He'll be the most.
He's going to dominate the post, and then there'll be 90% who just lurk and won't contribute at all.
Right.
So,
it's okay. Yeah.
Well, mine was
maybe
sort of,
I was going to say maybe we should change the wiki page and add it to it, but we just lurk around there. So
we'd probably Well, we can point to the amp hour, which is a reference source, is it not?
I believe so. We are a radio show.
We are a radio show. We can point to that. So there we go. We can add it in. So mine was more directed at the fake advertising, promotional figures that the magazines and stuff put out. That's where it stemmed from. That, RS Design Spark will say, or Element 14 will say, we have 10,000 subscribers, but really only 1,000 would actively visit, would actively come back. And then there's an order of magnitude drop, so only 100 would actually contribute out of those, 10,000 or something. So that's, Anyway. Yeah, I'm sure we can edit the wiki page. That'd be cool. All right,
well, we'll give it a shot and we'll see if we're in that 1% now.
Right. Anyway, that's pretty close to the mark. So it backs up my theory, which is great. I love it.
So how are we doing on time? I really don't have any reference because we've had a couple blips today.
Yeah, we had a 20-minute drop out there. It took us about 20 minutes to fix all our shit up, and we change over to Skype and change computers and stuff. Yeah. I believe we've got 5 minutes left.
All right. So one thing I wanted to mention, because it's actually kind of getting to be an older post now. So Uptown Maker, did you see that post?
No, I haven't. Do tell.
So I follow him on Twitter, but I saw this, and I think it might have been showcased in Make and a couple other places, but this is a really great article.
Had a look at that.
Electronics tools you didn't know you needed. And some of my favorites were your nose. I like that one.
I wasn't blown away by this list. I expected, what cool thing can I go?
You were expecting a gadget.
All these things, So don't get too excited, people.
Oh, well, yeah. But I like the flashlight a lot, too. So I thought that was a very good one. Having like a really directed light source, I think that can't be understated because you got a lot of...
I've got one of those on my keychain. I've got a 70 lumen torch on my keychain. Very valuable, you know?
That's great.
When you're trying to peer under a microscope, you're trying to read a part number just to get some light from a different angle, and it shows up, you know? So having a flashlight's...
Yeah.
you know...
That's awesome. Yeah. So, anyways, I like the post. I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't anything mind-blowing, but it was useful.
Right.
And I've been using it recently. Did you see my post about the crowbar?
About the crowbar hack.
The crowbar was not on,
as a heatsink. Yes.
The crowbar should not. It was not on the list, but it apparently should be because you never know when you're going to need a crowbar heatsink.
Right, or to bust open a door or something like that.
Right.
You know, if the door to your lab's locked, you know, somebody's locked
probably
you in
inside
there,
your lab.
You know?
So I guess if someone locked you in. But
you've got it. Yes, I'm sure it would be the pointy haired boss. You know, who's locked you in.
Oh, there we
lab.
go. Yeah,
and
yep. I've since revised my my crowbar heatsink to a proper heatsink, and I actually switched over to a FET. But
right,
it was a fun little project. I liked it.
Yeah, it was cool. Not exactly the world's most efficient heatsink there, but still, it works. Yeah, I've done similar things.
Yeah. And I definitely referenced that video of yours. I really like that video.
And cool.
Yeah, the heat or the programmable current sync. Thought that was good. So
yes, it's very most relevant.
Yeah. And as we close out, why don't we talk about? Did you see Jerry's new video? Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, I saw it. How she made a TSA security scanner out of a feed horn, and she basically modified a feed horn, and which is working at 10. I think it's working at what's the frequency? 10
gigahertz.
Okay, it is 10 gig. Yeah. And and she got centimeter resolution or something like that, so she could see her hand. You could see the outline of her hand and stuff like that. So fantastic. So she proved all the doubters wrong. She actually tweeted that she was getting a bit upset with all the doubters claiming, why she can't do it and all that sort of stuff. So she stuck it right up them. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great. You know, the thing that struck me about the video, I was expecting like this, you know, awesome high res display, and I realized that like. Obviously, it was a first step, so that was a ridiculous assumption on my part because even what it was amazing. But, you know, I've come to expect that these days. You know, you see HD everything. There was another project that I'll post a link to. There was an Arduino-based IR camera. So, first off, hearing Arduino, I shouldn't have expected high res, but I expected something, and it was like just super blocky, you know, tons of pixels everywhere.
Really low res, It's about as low res as you can get.
Right, and it's, you know, it's okay because you're just proving that you can do it at first. If you wanted to commercialize it, you'd probably pick something else. But the thing that struck me about it is that, you know, if you really do want to do high res, you kind of have to start moving towards a different model where it's like DSP based now, where you're almost capturing an image and then processing it, and you know, because if you're rastering like Jerry is too, that's a lot less efficient. You got to go a lot faster. So. Mm-hmm.
And also, she's working at a wavelength that, the wavelength is only, you know, a centimetre or two. You know, it's only a couple of centimetres. So, you know, there's only so much you can do there. Somebody posted a link in her comments to my video I did at the trade show in the US where I showed one of these machines, and it's got a rotating feed horn, I think it is. It actually rotates around, and it is quite high res. You can see your hand, you know, behind the wall and stuff like that. So I think it was working at, from memory, 30 gig or something like that. It was much higher.
That was a commercial one?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so but it sort of looks like a belt, one of those hand sanders kind of thing, and it's got a plate in it which rotates, and the antenna rotates, I think, inside, and it's and once again, it's doing a similar XY mapping thing, so it's got like a mouse kind of thing, so it knows its location, so you can go over it, so you scan it a few times, and it builds up a better image. So those doubters, I don't know why they doubted Jerry on that, because if you give it a moment's thought, which I'm sure she did, and she was pretty confident that really, you know, if you've got the wavelength, then it's certainly possible to get a crude image. So I don't know why, you know, anyone would say it's just flat out not possible. I think that was just stupid of them. They
obviously
it's
possible
don't know
because I mean they're doing that in airports all over the U.S. right now.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure it's a totally different different
system,
concept.
yeah.
So I don't know how the backscatter machines work. I haven't really looked into them, but yeah. But yeah, she was promising a backscatter machine. You know, as she says up front in the video, I think, you know, she hasn't worked. It doesn't work from a distance. It's not like you stand there and you can see a whole body and stuff like that. You know, it only works, you know, like inches. It only works a couple of inches away. So
right.
But
I was
cool.
still very impressed by it. So
very cool hack. Very cool.
Next up, she's going to prove you wrong on your chips at home.
Well,
next on our list.
Like I said, please prove me wrong.
Please
prove me wrong. But it's got to be practical. I don't want to see a couple of transistors on a chip and they go, no, I produce my own chip at home. No, I want something practical. You pot it, you do everything. It's got the leads and the pins and the whole, the whole shebang. So, but please prove me wrong.
All right, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I don't know how she has the time. That's the third hack or something she's produced in like the last week or something like that. She must be working full time on this. I can't see how she's not.
She's going crazy with
all
this
day.
stuff, but whatever it is, as long as we get to keep seeing videos of it, that's good for me.
That's awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it got 60,000 hits in the first day or something. It's gone massive. It's I'm sure it's linked to, she's at, there you go, 85,000 hits now. So that's a huge, I think that's almost her most popular one now, apart from one other or something. So not surprisingly.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, on you, Jerry, keep it up. Love you. Love your show.
So anything else? I don't know if are we out of time?
I think, who cares? Let's just call it.
All right, we'll just call it quits, we'll play the Amp Hour theme over and over again, so that'll make an hour.
I'm sure we're out of time. Actually, no, I said it was 20 minutes, didn't I?
I have no idea, Dave. I'm sorry.
I said 20. I think we wasted. So no, I think we've got 5 left. There you go.
All right, good. All right.
Okay.
So
come on.
I have a rant. of.
Do it. We haven't had a rant today.
Okay.
Right.
So do you ever hear about Rambus?
Yes, I've heard about Rambus.
Rambus, I have a personal gripe with because the computer I am recording on right now is a 2001 Dell Dimension 8100 with 512 meg of RDRAM. And if you want to buy RDRAM, which came out in, I believe, 99, 2000 or something like that, it still costs about $250 for a 256 megabyte stick of RAM.
Right.
Because they're the only ones who make it. And so this is basically a patent factory. And now they're at it again. And so they recently they announced that they're suing, like they had won a settlement against NVIDIA, I think, a while back.
Oh, that's big.
But now they're going after everyone. And this is just like the worst example. I bet at this company they probably have 2 to 1 ratio of lawyers to engineers.
Oh,
because
for sure.
They are just, they have a lot of patents, so they obviously did a lot of research, but at the same time, maybe they're just really good at getting patents.
Maybe they are. Maybe they have a solid case. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, and maybe. And if that is the case, then I'm okay with that. But I don't think they do. Here, listen to the list of all the things that are at fault, because, what I'm guessing is they have a very basic building block, and then it was built into all these other things. Here's the list. PCI Express, certain serial ATA, certain serial attached or SCSI, DisplayPort interfaces, DDR, DDR2, DDR3, mobile DDR, LPDDR, LPDDR2, GDDR3, graphics processors, media processors, communications processors, chipsets, other logic integrated circuits. And now they're moving on to LEDs. That was a separate note. They teamed up with GE, and now they're getting into LEDs. So now, I don't even. And you know what? They're located. They have a facility in Cleveland. That's the LED with GE.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what is it? I maybe I have to dig into it more. But it sounds like they honestly patented a transistor. Like that's what it sounds like. You know?
Yep.
Or like a sense amp or something like that. You know, like. I don't get it, and they're suing like Samsung, Intel, all the big names.
Oh, everyone's in there. HP, Hitachi, ST Micro, Freescale, Broadcom, LSI, MediaTek.
Yeah,
yeah. You know,
they're just using the shotgun approach to try and get money where they can.
Yeah,
and some of it might be deserved, like you said, Dave. I mean, that's okay. If it is,
go
ahead.
The classic example of that is the Australian CSIRO, the Commonwealth Scientific Research Association here, government organisation. They develop Wi-Fi. I mentioned this in my very first EEV blog episode, and they won. They beat everyone. They developed 802.11 Wi-Fi, and everyone just ripped them off. And they eventually won. And now every company in the world has to pay royalties to this Australian government organisation for effectively 802.11 Wi-Fi. And they won. Everyone caved.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. And I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, well, the thing that's so, I don't know, some of it, like the crazy thing about it is, like, even like the standards that you and I think of, like SD cards, USB, all that stuff's licensed. You can't put the name on there unless it's licensed.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not. I mean, we've talked about patents before, but like this seems a little out there.
This is too broad, whereas the CSIRO one was very specific. It was Wi-Fi, and that was it.
Right.
I mean, and they had a very solid patent, one patent that just covered it. But this is
Trumped
just,
them,
as you said, the shotgun approach. It's just, nuts.
Which
is very common with these patent, leeches. Really.
Yeah.
It's...
I don't know. I think about it. Like I talk to people that are like I talked to a guy who's still in school who was doing an internship, and really bright kid, like probably one of the smarter young engineers I've met in a long time. And he's talking about going to law school, and I'm like, what? I mean, like, yes, I understand the idea of getting ahead and success and all that stuff. But I'm like, what do you want? Do you want to be a patent lawyer? I mean, like, patent lawyers are very important for certain cases, and you will make a buttload of money. There's no doubt about that. You will make a lot of money, but it just sounds like, personally to me, that sounds like the most boring thing in the world. It's like the opposite.
My brother-in-law's a patent attorney.
That's fine. I mean, I'm sure he makes buttloads of money, but at the same time...
Well, he's not, because he just drafts patents. He doesn't go out suing. He's not a real lawyer that sues people.
Even that,
he's a
it just sounds
attorney, which is Anyway, I
have a lot of lawyer friends too, and the whole concept of law is lost on me. So maybe that's a bad starting point. But man, patent attorney. It was just the fact that this kid was so smart and so bright, and just like wasting all this design talent on going and sitting in a courtroom and arguing for money. And it's like, man, there's more out there than that. That's my personal opinion. If people disagree with it, it's fine. If your brother-in-law disagrees with it, he can come over to US.
He does. Every time I talk about patents on my, or patents. Sorry, a lot of people, it's
patents.
It's actually patents here. It depends on how you pronounce it. We actually say both, patents and patents, depending on the... Yeah, either's fine. Anyway, he keeps, I hear about it over the dinner table, I watched your blog on you were bashing patents again, and why, you don't understand, and oh, God. Anyway, but his job is basically to take nice, readable engineering design documentation and turn it into gobbledygook.
Whoa, back up. What was that word?
Gobbledygook.
Oh, I think you said Corby Gook. I'm like, is this some new Australian word?
Yeah, that's this Skype thing. Skype.
Oh, okay.
We really can't hear each other here.
Skype made a new word, Corby Gook. I like it.
Gobbledygook. So, I don't know. That's his job. His job is to draft patents and,
Man, that sounds boring.
Take good design engineering, which us engineers produce, and, we love producing really good documentation. And his job is to turn it into incomprehensible garbage.
I will say I've talked to a friend who's going to law school right now, and she told me that there's like a really big push for like lawyers to go in the opposite direction and to make it more readable to like the layperson.
Oh, really?
And if that's the case, I know there's no lawyers listening, but if that's the case, go lawyers. That's awesome. That's like the best thing I've heard about law school in years.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That's brilliant. Keep it up. And make it simpler.
Yes, please. And I think that's all for today's Amp Hour. So,
yes.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, and if you got questions, remember you can record them live now on voicemail, and or if you have pictures of you in your lab, send them on in.
Yes, please.
Well, see you next week, I guess.
See you guys. Ooh, all right. Stop.